Thank you all for coming here. We are the Hare Krishna people. This is the Hare Krishna movement. If you haven't worked that out yet, then that's who we are. That's Is anyone here for the first time to the Hare Krishna film? Thank you for coming. You might have to take him out because you might have to just. At the back room. There's a speaker, so you can hear the class still. So if you take him in the back, because he'll be too noisy, it'll be too hard to. But you can hear the class also in the back. We have it running inside. So, does anyone have any questions which they would like to ask to a Hare Krishna person about the meaning of life, the universe, and everything? This is an opportunity, if you'd like to ask, about the meaning of the purpose of why we are here. So if you have any questions, then you can ask them, we can try to answer. So, thank you. Any other questions? Yes?
Hare Krishna. At this time I'm planting a garden, a vegetable garden. And we have beautiful plants growing. And the cauliflower, the cabbage, are now being attacked by worms. And I'm wondering what is the best solution to overcome this problem. If you can answer that, please.
Okay, so the garden is being attacked by worms, so we need to overcome the problem. So what's the best way like that? So we would recommend chanting the Hare Krishna mantra.
Do that.
Oh, you do that already? Okay. Okay. So then usually we use natural pesticides like that, like neem and natural things like that. Try to obviously avoid chemical kind of pesticides. So as much as possible, just do natural things. If you do some research, usually for each of the animals, nature has a natural repellent. You know, for different moths and different types of insects, there's usually a repellent also. So usually you have to do some companion planting. So you'll plant one plant which will repel the things which take the plant. So do a little bit of research and then you can do that. So, yeah. You're probably better off asking the gardening experts about that question. So it's not my area of expertise, but not that. Any other points? Any other questions anyone has?
If I can ask.
Yes, madam, please.
How do I phrase it? If life is difficult, or is it difficult for me only? I'm sure it's not for me, but for everyone. I don't know, some says meditation and I just see Dr. Deepak Chopra and I YouTube and all those things and everything. So I just can't understand. Ups and downs, it's a part of life. Happiness and sorrow, it's a part of life. But emotions, then leave the emotions. I did NLP just to understand, stay detached, all these things. Am I clear what I'm asking? I'm not sure, but I don't want to go in details, so I'm just saying at high level. So
what is the question?
Is it normal? How do you face the difficulties of life?
Is it normal to go through difficulties? Is that the question?
Yes.
And then how to face them?
Yes.
Okay.
How to stay calm, or how do you do? What do you do?
What do you do? Okay. So is it normal to go through difficulties in life? Hands up if anyone is going through difficulties in life. 100%.
Yes.
Everyone's going, okay, that's good. So, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this is our main book of knowledge, the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Dukala yama shashvatam, which means this world is created to give us difficulty. Now one may ask, why is it that there is so much difficulty in this world? The answer is because we do not belong here. This is not the world that we belong in. We are spiritual, we are the soul. In Bhagavad Gita it says we are Atma, Jivatma, which means we are spiritual, we are not material. The body is an encasement for the soul. But who are we? We are the soul. Where does the soul belong? The soul is spiritual, So therefore the soul belongs in the spiritual world with Krishna, with God, the kingdom of God, or we call Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha means the place where there is no anxiety. And this material world that we're in is called Kunta, which means anxiety. Does anyone have anxieties in their life? Okay, one young man here. Okay. Everyone else is lying. They don't put their hands up. You can have a free feast today. You can have a free bowl of dessert.
He's a good eater, so that's a good...
Yeah, no problem. Just come and see me afterwards and we'll go to the kitchen. But the rest of you, who will not put your hands up. No, but this world is full of anxiety. That cannot be avoided. Because Krishna, God created this world because we wanted to be separate from Krishna, from God. We did not want to be with him. We chose to be independent. Everyone has independence. God creates us with independence. Krishna gives us that. So you can choose. There's 4 doors in this room. You can go out any door you like. That is your independence. Krishna will not stop you. God does not stop you. So each one of us, but how do we use our independence? We want to be separate from him. So he says, okay, if you want to be separate, I will create a world for you. So that's where we are now in the material world. Our soul is surrounded by a material body and a material mind and intelligence like that. So we're covered by this. Now Krishna says, Dukalayam ashashvatam. Ashashvatam means this world is temporary. Everything in this world, nothing is permanent. You cannot live here forever. So that is not natural. Why are people scared of death? In Sanskrit it is called asmita. Asmita means fear of death. Why? Because it's not natural. Because the soul does not die. The soul transmigrates into another body. So we are the soul. So as long as you're in this material world, you will have, because it is temporary, dukkha. Dukkha means misery, anxiety. That cannot be avoided. So yes, you must. So the answer to your question is, do I have to go through misery? The answer is yes. Because you don't have a choice. You're in the material world, what do you expect? It is miserable. Now secondly is how to deal with the misery. So we chant Hare Krishna. That's what we do primarily. That's what we just did. Did anyone feel depressed or miserable just before when we were chanting? Huh? Huh? One person said she did. So, like that. We'll speak to her later. But put your hands in the air. Everyone, put your hands in the air. Huh? How do you feel? Joyous? Very good. Any other emotions? Not a very emotive audience today. How do you feel? Open? Very good. Okay. This is an anti-depression posture. Now, if you feel depressed, just put your hands in the air and start dancing around chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And then you will lose your depression. So that's how we deal with it. We dance and chant. Sometimes I'm here in the farm, you'll see me out there in the paddock, just running around, just dancing and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, because it destroys the depression. Because it unifies us with God. The word yoga, you know the word yoga? Yoga means to unite. So when we're chanting, we are uniting with Krishna, with God. Now when you're with Krishna, Krishna is full of ananda. Ananda means bliss. That's why he is bluish. People always ask, why is God blue? Blue is the color of the happiness. You look at the sky, that color, it makes you feel happy as soon as you see that color. That is the color of God. He's the bluish color. So he is feeling ananda. So when you're with him through chanting his names and you unite with him, you cannot feel miserable. So how do we primarily deal with our misery? By that. Secondly, Krishna says in the Gita, in the very beginning of the Gita, he says, Matra spashas tu kunteya, shitoshna sukha dukkadaha, agama payano nityas, tam titikshashwa bharata. So Krishna says, happiness and distress, sukha dukkha, they come and go in this material world. They're not permanent. If you're really happy, do you ever feel really happy? Anyone ever feel really happy? Yeah, sometimes we do. You know, once every 6 years we feel really happy. I'm just saying, those moments, right? When you feel really happy, what do you know? You know, that's going to pass. It's not going to last. And when you feel really bad, what do you know? That's not going to last. Nothing in this world is permanent. Everything changes. That's the constant. The one constant of this world is that everything changes all the time. So, what is there really to be happy or sad about? Because if you're happy, you know you're going to be sad later. If you're sad, you're going to be happy. So what really is going on? Krishna says, Krishna said, it is just sense perception. It's all just going on in the mind. You can be sitting here right now. Everything's nice, actually. The day's nice. You're with nice people, right? We're going to give you a nice meal soon, right? Everything's nice. But still you can be sitting here right now feeling miserable. Does anyone feel like that? Luckily, you don't feel like that, but you shouldn't. But we do. Some people, they're just sitting here right now and just miserable like that. That's in the mind. Mental perception. So Krishna says it will pass. So Krishna says to Arjuna, titikshasva. Titiksha means tolerate it. Don't take it so seriously. In this world, everyone takes everything too seriously. Oh, I'm happy. Oh, I'm happy. And they get too much into it. And then, oh, now I'm sad, and they get too much. No, Krishna just says, it passes. Right? So don't get too absorbed and tolerate these things. And get absorbed in a higher state of reality, or a higher state of happiness. Spiritual happiness, by connecting with Krishna through yoga. Yoga doesn't mean doing postures, it means through bhakti, through devotion. Primarily through chanting. That is the Yoga Dharma. Does that answer your question? Any other question you have or clarification you need?
I always have arguments. In the sense, my dad always talk about these things.
Yeah.
From that background.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen so? Do you believe on all these things? Those days were different days. This is a modern world.
So what's the point?
Everybody, we are not human beings, we are soul. He says, close your eyes, you will see something. When I close my eyes, there is nothing. Everything is outside, everything is. So I just am not connected to what is in the books, in these holy books, perhaps.
Yeah, so it requires practice. But it doesn't mean that when you close your eyes, you'll necessarily see something. That could just be your mind anyway. Just like one person, Prabhupada is the founder of our Hare Krishna movement. So in the 60s, when he came to America and he began the movement, one person was chanting. Just some people just came. Can you just... So one person was chanting. One of his disciples, young American boy. He said, Prabhupada, while I'm chanting, I close my eyes, I see a light coming towards me. Right? Prabhupada said, keep chanting, it will go away. So this is the mind. The mind, oh, I see a light, I see a light. The light is coming. How do you know? What is this? So don't concoct things in your mind. Feel from your heart. When we chant Hare Krishna, we feel connected to Krishna. Right? That's a reality. So don't put things in your mind, oh, it has to be like this, or has it just... Let it come naturally. Is it okay? Okay. Any other question? Yes, sir.
So, if we accept that whether it be chanting, dancing, physical practice has some impact, and we can feel that perhaps on our spiritual connectedness and access to the spirit world, can you maybe speak a little bit about discipline? Because I think maybe many people know this in their heart, but have difficulty adhering to that, and even they know that if they do adhere to that, they feel a lot better and perhaps spiritually connected, but they go through life and there's a lot of pressures on them and difficulties that prevent them from adhering to physical practice, be it dancing, chanting, exercise, whatever.
So
how are we disciplined, basically? How can we be better disciplined?
Yeah, so the question is, how can we develop more discipline?
Yeah, because we know something, but the reality of our lives is that we can't live up to that or adhere to that as well as we'd like to.
We'd like to, yeah, okay. So that's good. So the question, basically the question is, how do we become more disciplined, basically?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, like that. So, Prabhupada, the founder of our movement, he said, can't is a word in a fool's dictionary. Right. It's foolish to say can't. Usually it's we will not. I mean, unless you're physically unable to. You know, if you're in a wheelchair, then we can't say get up and dance, because it's not possible. Physically, you know, in the heart you can dance, but physically you cannot do it. So certain things, but for most of us, he's not there. Now, we're in a particular age. According to the Vedas, these ancient teachings from India, there are 4 ages which cycle in the universe. And they come periodically, just like summer, autumn, spring, winter, they go in a cycle. So these 4 ages come in a cycle. Now, this particular age that we're in now is called Kali Yuga. It is the 4th age. And it is called Kali. Does anyone know this word Kali? What does it mean? Kali. What was that?
Evil.
What did you say? Kali. Does anyone know this word?
Angry.
Evil.
Angry.
Angry. Kali. No.
Kali
Krota. Krota is anger. Kali means dark. Kali. Kali. Dark.
Kali means dark.
Dark, yeah. So dark. It's a dark age. So this is called the Kali Yuga. So there are 4 ages: Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali. Each one lasts, Kali Yuga lasts for 432,000 years, according to the ancient teachings, of which we're about 5,000 years into. So it's the final age. It's called the Dark Age. It's like when society goes into a period of devolution, or they become less spiritually. So in this age, it has certain symptoms. Now the symptoms, there's one verse here from the Srimad Bhagavatam, one of the ancient teachings. It says, O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men have short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So that is the symptom of this age. So basically, to answer your question, why is it hard to be disciplined in this age? Because people are lazy in this age. It's the nature of the age. Everyone likes to... What is the perfection of life? To sleep in till 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. People work hard all week so then we can sleep in. So then it's hard to develop discipline when we're lazy. So if you want to develop discipline, usually the best way to do it is to modify your lifestyle. In our spiritual lifestyle, the yoga lifestyle that we lead, we go to bed early, we rise early. So traditionally, most of our spiritual practices we do before the sun rises. And at that time, you have the most clarity of the mind. It's easy to chant, it's easy to meditate, to do yoga, to do anything like that. So we advise people to adjust your life in such a way that you can go to bed early, you can get up early, and then you can practice these spiritual things. So to develop discipline, it requires some discipline first of all, to become disciplined. Now, one can say, well, how do I develop that discipline? I find that difficult. According to the ancient teachings, it says that we must develop sangha. Sangat sanjayate karma. Karma means desire. Where do our desires come from? They come from the sangha, or the practice, or the association that we get. When we associate with people who have determination or discipline, we also develop that quality. So that is the basic, that's what we would say there. Is that okay?
Change your associates and
Yeah.
discipline.
Yeah, very good. Very good. It's a very good summary. Yeah, I mean, choose your association. You will become like whoever you associate with in this world.
Yeah.
That's like, personally I don't have a television. Why? I don't want to become like the people on the television. Because they're, So, and then the internet. These days it's, get on the internet and you'll become whatever you associate like. So therefore be very careful what you choose like that. So personally I associate with these books, this spiritual knowledge, with spiritual people who have spiritual focus and discipline like that. And that's how, by that association we also develop ourselves.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's a good question. Would you like to add anything more?
No, it's good. I mean, I guess living in society, it's difficult to disassociate with it completely. You have to you can be wise and select who you associate with, but inevitably you have to be part of the world, you know, part of the dark world.
Yeah.
And to some extent, I guess technology is a challenge. It sometimes feels like technology is accelerating increasingly to the point where we don't have the capacity to keep up and develop the knowledge to deal with it and the wisdom to deal with it. There just doesn't seem time. It seems to be sort of spiralling to a crescendo almost.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Very good analysis. Very accurate.
I suppose we'll deal, won't we? We'll all deal with it. You use the internet though, of course. I know you do.
No, I don't.
You've emailed me.
Oh, that's right. Does anyone else have any questions?
Sorry, that's it from me.
Yeah. We'll talk about it later. I'm a monk. I don't work at that.
Not free food for you.
But the point is, and this is what Prabhupada taught us, that according to the ancient teachings, our philosophy is Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Uchyate. Nirbandha, Krishna Sambandha. Sambandha means connection. If it can be connected to Krishna, to God, then we will use it. If it cannot be connected to Krishna in his service, we will reject it. Nirbandha means no connection. For example, like eating meat, for example, we can't connect that to God. So nirbandha, we disconnect it. Vegetarian food, we can offer that to God. Just like Tarini now, she's offering to Krishna, offering the vegetarian food. So we can do that, so that is called Krishna Sambandha. It is connected to Krishna, then it becomes spiritualized, like that. It's called prasad. So, Yukta Vairagya, Vairagya means renunciation. So spiritual life is about renouncing. Right? That's why we shave our heads like that. We renounce this world like that. So that's why, people ask, why did we shave our head? Because we're not interested in this world, so we renounce it. So renunciation, but yukta vairagya. We renounce something, but if it can be used in the service of Krishna, we use that. Now Prabhupada, when he came to America in 1965, he was a Swami, he was a sadhu, he was like a spiritual person. But when he came, he saw there are so many things in this world, because of modern technology, which can be used in Krishna's service. So he used all those things. And he was criticized by his associates in India. They said, this is not the life of a holy man. But he understood, no, in order to spread this teaching around the world, I have to use everything. So he showed us how to connect everything. So yes, we use Facebook or the internet or emails or telephones or iPads or rivers or what, but only if they're used in Krishna's service. But if they're not, be very careful, because they can distract you and they can make you forget Krishna. It's called Maya. Maya means illusion. So these things are very dangerous. You have to use them carefully. So in the same way, as you said, we cannot reject this world. We don't just live here on the farm. We go off the farm. We meet people. People from outside come in. But when we associate with people, it is generally to give them spiritual knowledge. So there's a spiritual element to the association. We won't just go to the pub and just sit there and watch the grand final. Don't tell anyone. Like that. We won't do that. Like that. So if it can be connected, then so it's not that we're not fearful of this world. It's not like we sit here and we're like, oh, it's so dark and so disturbed. But we'll only interact with it as much as it can. We can use it to spiritualize things, because there's a vacuum in society at this point in time. It's like, like Prabhupada he travelled to Moscow in the early 70s, and when Prabhupada went to Moscow, he met Professor Katofsky, who was the head of the Department of Indology or Indian Studies, and Prabhupada said to him, where is the department to study the soul within your university? And he said, it doesn't exist. Where do you go to university? You get a degree in spiritual studies. You can learn everything else, but where do you understand spiritual life? Where is this? So that's the vacuum in society at the moment. People don't have an opportunity. So we're trying to fill that vacuum. So that's why I send you emails. Don't tell my boss. Any other questions that anyone may have? Yes, sir.
What about entertainment? Are you not allowed to, like, entertain yourself?
Yeah, can you give me examples?
Like, say, if you were really interested in soccer, for example, would you not be allowed to watch a soccer game?
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
No, you would.
No, we would. We would. Yeah, just don't tell my boss. Don't tell the head monks that we watch the soccer games. No. No, that's okay. I mean, these things should be kept in moderation. That's the point. Like that. Like we like to watch games, but see, what's happening in life now is that these things are just games. Soccer's just a game. Do you like soccer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like soccer too, right? So it's a game. Is it good fun? Yeah. So after we have the feast, we can go out and play soccer. And sometimes we do that. We just have a soccer match out here. We play cricket or something like that. We quite often do that. So it's just fun. But now society, they take it too seriously. It's become imbalanced. Just like I went to India a couple of years ago, and there was one, because in India everyone loves cricket. They're crazy about cricket. So I saw one sign, big billboard in Delhi, said, "Cricket is religion." So it's not religion. Because religion is something to teach you about God. Right? And even the cricketers the Australian team went to India years ago. Do you remember there's a player called David Boone? Have you heard of him? You wouldn't remember. That was 20 years back. But so he had a big moustache. And Booney. If you look him up, David Boone, he's a good cricket player. So he went to India, and he was in the hotel, in the lobby, and he came down, they were about to get on the bus to go to the stadium to play against India. And then he said from behind the pillar in the lobby in the hotel, an Indian man stepped out, and he was dressed in cricket whites, just like David Boone, and he had a cap on, and he had grown a moustache just like David Boone, and he stepped out and he looked at David Boone and he said, "Booney," he said, "you are my God." He was so absorbed in David Boone, he worshipped him like he was God. And David Boone's like looking at him that's an imbalance. So in society, that's what happens these days. People, they treat sports stars, rock stars, and pop stars and movie stars like gods. And they're not gods. They've got problems in their lives. There's problems there. Just like, has anyone seen Batman? You seen the one with, what's his name? The actor who played the Joker and he passed away? The Australian guy?
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger, right? Heath Ledger. So he played Batman. Everyone worships him like he's a god. He wins the Academy Awards, and he's a great actor actually. He was a very talented man. But he died of a drug overdose. So this is, we're treating these people like gods, but it's not actually like that, So everything has to be kept in perspective. So soccer's fine, and watching the soccer's fine. But when you get paid $30 million for a season, that's imbalanced. Especially when there's kids in Africa who don't even have food. And one guy gets $30 million to run around in shorts and kick a leather blown up apparatus through posts. He gets $30 million. That's not balanced like that. So society's become imbalanced. So soccer's fine. Watching the soccer's fine. But they should get about $100 a game. And that would be more natural. Because they added up all the wealth. If you add up all the wealth, and what we call wealth these days is not wealth anyway. Right? It's just numbers in a bank account. It doesn't actually, if they close your bank, you don't have anything. Nothing actually exists. What we call money these days doesn't actually exist. And what we call money, physical money, paper, if you burn that, you've got nothing. It doesn't actually exist. Wealth is false these days. There's no gold standard like that. So they added up, if you take all the wealth, the false wealth, on the earth at the moment, and if we give it to everyone equally, each one of us has $1 million. So that's a better way to run the world as far as I'm concerned. Just let's divide the whole thing up, give everyone $1 million, and then go and play soccer and do whatever you want. And come to the farm, chant Hare Krishna, and let's have a balanced life. But when it all becomes, it's very imbalanced these days. And we can see the problems that it's causing in society. Society's not peaceful. And when you start putting billboards up, soccer is religion, then that means society's really not balanced. So, did I answer your question? Yeah. Do you want to add anything? Or? No, it's a very good question though. Is the answer okay? Okay, very good. Very intelligent boy. You must have very intelligent parents. Where are your parents? Wow.
Somewhere else.
I'll send you an email, but just don't tell my boss. Tell me when the good soccer matches are on. Actually, Manchester's coming to Melbourne.
Manchester.
Yeah,
United.
And they're playing Real Madrid at MCG, so Money's going to find out how much the tickets are. Oh, we're not, turn off the recorder. Sometimes we go and see the soccer and stuff. It's okay. Just got to keep things in balance, that's all. Like that.
I think the allure of the money is part of the reason he wants to be a professional soccer player.
Yeah, sure.
Paleontologist as well. Paleontologist and professional soccer player.
Yeah, well, that's the way the world is these days, so why wouldn't you want to be? You know, everything's so money-based these days. You don't have money, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So, yeah, why not do it? He's just an intelligent kid.
I'm not trying to be mean to you, Felix. I know you love the actual soccer as well.
Yeah, my cousin is playing for Melbourne City at the moment. Is that what it's called? Melbourne?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the under-21s. His name's Trey O'Sullivan. He's a very good player, and he's trying to move up, and he's trying to get into a European team and all the rest of it. But I speak to him sometimes, I just say, it's imbalanced, man. I say, it's like, it's just a game. It's like these days, if they lose the AFL Grand Final, the team that loses, they have sports psychologists who come and speak to everyone. I'm like, are you okay? Are you coping that you lost the grand final? Are you okay? Like that. Whereas, the football players 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 40 years ago, if you lost the game, you just have a shower and that's it, you go home. These days, the world is so unbalanced that if you, kick a leather ball through the post and your team doesn't kick it through as many times, you've got to see a psychologist. This is not normal. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
You mentioned that every yuga stands for 400,000 years, but according to science, the Dwapara Yuga, the Krishna was actually 10,000 years old. How do you comment on this? The age of the Yuga, Kali Yuga, yeah, that's 400, and according to the Vedas, it's 432,000 years. It began 5,000 years ago, and according to the Vedas, Krishna came on earth, God himself came on earth, when Kali Yuga began, which was 5,000 years ago. So according to us, we say 5,000 years. According to what the scholars say, the modern science, I don't know what they say. Maybe they say 10,000 or I don't know. Some of them say that the Vedas were written down 3,000 years ago. So everyone has a different opinion. We take it literally. It says 5,000 years ago, so we take it like that. And there's some evidence that we can draw to like that. So. Is it okay? Yeah. Any other questions? Yes, madam.
Was it like the anniversary of when this Bhagavad Gita was spoken a few weeks ago or something? How do we work it out? Is it based in the moon as well, like a calendar moon, or?
Yeah, we follow the lunar calendar. That's how we work things out. In the West, they follow the solar calendar. So 1 year, we say 1 year is the solar like that. We say a year is based on 12 lunar cycles, which is a little bit shorter than a year. That's why every about 3 or 4 years we have to put an extra month in, which is called Purushottam Mas, which is next year. Every 3 or 4 years, in the Vedic calendar, they add an extra month in to reconcile and bring everything back into balance. Because the way the moon goes, 12 lunar cycles, and the way the sun goes, it's in one orbit of the Earth or the sun, so depending how you look at it. Then it's slightly different, so then they have to readjust again. So that Purushottam Mas, that comes next year. That's every 3 or 4 years that extra month comes. It's a very holy month, very auspicious month. And if you do service in that month, spiritual activities, you get more benefit in that month. So.
Does that answer what you're... Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, no, I just want to make a little bit more point about the anniversary of the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, so the anniversary, the Gita Jayanti, the actual Bhagavad Gita is spoken 5,000 years ago when Krishna came to earth. The anniversary was a couple of weeks ago. It's on the Ekadashi. So that was the day that Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna for the benefit of mankind. So, is that what you're asking?
It follows every year around December, around this time.
Yeah. Because the battle, it was spoken at the beginning, the first day of the battle, which lasted 18 days. So if you go to India now, it's winter. So the best time to fight a battle is in winter, because it's cool. Because when you fight, you get hot. So they used to train for the battle. They used to train in the Himalaya. Yeah, the Pandavas used to live in the Himalaya when they trained because it was cool up there. You don't want to train in the desert or Rajasthan where it's hot like that. So yeah, that's why this time of year the battle was fought, because it was cool. So they said, let's go out and fight the battle at this time, and it was like a wintry kind of time. So it's always around this time. Usually it's the end of December. Gita Jayanti. Any other questions? Yes, madam.
You were saying earlier in the talk about how we're spirit, soul, and we're encased in the material body, and we have material mind, senses, intelligence. Also, how do you understand, like, when we leave this body, the spirit soul may come back into another body, but we bring with us impressions from past lives. So where do they come? Do we bring the same intelligence and mind? Like, how do they come if they don't affect the soul when we're born again?
Yeah, a good question. So when the soul is pure by definition. So when the soul comes into this world, he becomes covered. We are the soul now. So I'm in this body, but I'm covered by this gross body, which according to Bhagavad Gita, this body is made of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Basically. So earth means substance. Like my body's obviously made of, not earth, but like a transformation of earth. Earth likes it. So that's the flesh. The water, my body is 78% liquid. Human beings, their bodies are if you cut, it just gushes, that's liquid. So water. Then fire, you can see my hands are red. So that's fire. We all have heat, or the fire element within our bodies. Air. Airs make the body, sometimes we burp, or sometimes air comes out. Air is what keeps the body circulating, moving. And then finally is ether. Ether means space. So there's a certain amount of space in our body, particularly in between this region. We have space, at least in my case. I actually found a guy who didn't have a brain. I don't know if you read about that, but there was no physical brain, but he was completely normal, but there was no brain in there. That's just a side point like that. So we have this gross body, but the soul is also covered by what we call the subtle body, which is below this body, which covers the soul, which is made of mind, intelligence, and ego. So when we die, or what we call death or transmigration of the body, of the soul is carried by the mind, the intelligence, and the ego into its next body.
The false ego?
Yeah, the false ego. Yeah, ahankar. Yeah. So those 3 elements, they cover our soul, they carry us to the next. Because when you die, you will have certain impressions in your mind. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, yam yam vapi smaram bhavam. Whatever you remember at the time of death, that's what you will attain without fail. So whatever you are thinking, then that's where you... So why did I get this body now? Because of what I was thinking, my desires in my previous life. This brought me into this. So it is a mix. How do we get another body? That's a mixture of 2 things. Desire and karma. Because you want to have a certain body, or you want to enjoy certain things, but how have you behaved in your life? Have you been a good person? Do you deserve to get those things? Or have you been a bad person, So even though you have the desires, but you won't get those things. So according to our desires and our karma, that's how we get our next body. So when we die, our mind is thinking of a particular thing that will lead us to our next body. So that same mind goes into like that. So if you live your life like a pig, a pig just likes to eat anything and everything. If you've seen the pigs, especially in India, they just get into the gutter and they eat everything and anything. So if you spend your life just like that, then you're developing like the consciousness of a pig, then you go to the pig's body.
So whatever body we take, the subtle body is what carries the soul into that. But then when we say, for example, if someone attains perfection in their life, then the subtle body gets left and then they go back to the spiritual world?
Yeah, it dissolves.
And then that subtle body doesn't, it's not there anymore. Like in terms, like they've kind of left the gross manifestations in there, the subtle body's not there. So if they were to come back to the material plane, they don't come with that same subtle body? Like basically we have one subtle body through all the material lives that we have.
Yeah. But then you're talking about a liberated person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then, just like Prabhupada as an example, as a liberated soul, Jivan Mukta means liberated. So Prabhupada was in a body like ours, but he wasn't attached to the body. And he had a mind, intelligence and ego, but the mind, intelligence and ego were only being used in the service of Krishna and God. So that it's completely purified. So the faculty, the machine, because Krishna says it is yantra. Yantra means machine. So your body is a machine. So you're using the machine in the service of Krishna, the machine becomes spiritual. That's when someone like Prabhupada passes away, we don't cremate the body, but we embalm the body. We keep it. And you see there's actually footage of Prabhupada being embalmed. They place his body in samadhi, in the ground, and they covered it in salt to preserve it, and his body is still at that place, in Vrindavan. So for someone who is pure, their body is already spiritualized, but for us then our body is materialistic. Does that answer? Yes, good. Very good questions today. I think we will give you a nice feast at the end, because your questions have been so good. Anyone else have some questions? Huh? Anything? No?
Sorry.
No, no problem.
It's a joke.
That's okay. Anyone have any more questions they would like to ask? Or about life, the universe, everything? Yes, madam.
What are the practices if people want to become more disciplined? What should they be doing?
What should they do if you want to develop more discipline? Or you could say determination. Is that okay? Same word, discipline, determination. Actually, it says in the ancient teachings, if you want to become determined, you have to practice celibacy. So that's difficult in this age. Because practically no one practices celibacy in this age. Like that. And if you look at modern society, you're considered to be successful if you have a lot of sex. And in the ancient teaching of India, in the Vedic teachings, it says you're considered more successful if you reduce your sex. So if you can be completely celibate, right, and be absorbed spiritually in Krishna consciousness, if you always focused on God or Krishna, you become very powerful, very determined, because the mind is focused. Someone who's too much attached to sex life, their mind cannot be focused. So therefore it is said that we have to control that urge. Like that. So if you want to become determined or disciplined, then that's the best way. Be celibate. Or at least restricted to within marriage. At least do that. At least do that. Because people these days find that even difficult. Like that. But the more you can control that urge, the more powerful. Prabhupada said that Gandhi, because Gandhi was celibate, Gandhi removed the British from India. How did he get the British out of India? Prabhupada said by his celibacy. Because Gandhi was celibate, so he developed so much discipline, so much determination, and he gave the British such a hard time they had to leave India. So Prabhupada said that's an example of someone who, by celibacy, you become powerful. Is it okay? Any other question? Yes, sir.
What's your, I guess, your main source of information? Like in Christianity, or like what I've been taught there, some of the parts in the Old Testament doesn't really apply to modern society. I guess like some, you know, like old rules that are less insane. I don't know, I haven't read the Bhagavad Gita, but if you would come upon something that doesn't make sense, how would you do it? Like, is it just Bhagavad Gita is the only truth and it's nothing but the truth? Or
so help us God. This is the only truth.
yeah, but yeah, you get my question.
Yeah, we get question. It's a good question. Yeah. So how do we reconcile ancient teachings in the modern world? Yeah, that's a good question. We don't say the Bhagavad Gita is the only truth. We don't say that. Truth is universal. Truth can be found anywhere. You can meet anyone, you can read any book, it has truth in it. Originally, truth is coming from God Himself. So if anything we find truth in this world, that means it's coming directly from the source. I would say, objectively, I'm not trying to, because I'm a Hare Krishna and I do follow the Bhagavad Gita, but I'm not trying to say it in a dogmatic way, that, this is the best and if you don't follow it, you will. Like that. I'm not trying to say it like that. I'm saying objectively, because I have looked at the teachings of the world, I find this to be the most complete, the most developed. So that's why I follow it. And like I think I said to you, if I find something which is more developed or more complete, I'll go and start following that, because that's... So I find this to be that's why I follow it, because I find it to be the most advanced knowledge of God. I want to know God. That's my desire, and this gives me the most complete understanding of Krishna, so that's why. So, when we find things that, like if you read the Bhagavad Gita is philosophy. It's not so much practical application. So you might find things, you gave the example of the Old Testament in the Bible, maybe there's things which don't apply so much in this age anymore. The Bhagavad Gita is more philosophy, so it's more like how to live in the world and how to see the world, not so much what you should do every day, although it does mention some of those things. So it's not so hard it does apply to now, because it's how to live in this, how to have spiritual vision in this world. So it does apply to now, because that's...
It's more a way of thinking
yeah.
than...
Yeah, it's a way of seeing the world from a spiritual perspective. Because people, two people can be in this room, they can be seeing the same thing, but what's going in the mind is completely different. Just like one time Prabhupada was with some of his young disciples, and a beautiful young girl walked into the room. Right? She was a life member in India, she came to visit Prabhupada. And she walked in, and Prabhupada said, "She is beautiful." And everyone was a bit shocked, Prabhupada said. And he said, "We can see she is beautiful." And Prabhupada said, "But what do we do about it?" And then everyone was looking, and Prabhupada said, "Nothing." Because Prabhupada didn't have a material desire. Whereas there would have been other men in the modern world, in that room, they saw a beautiful woman walk into the room, immediately they're thinking, how can I have sex with her? That's what men think when they see a beautiful woman. Right? Maybe it's, but that's what it's all leading to. I'll speak to her nicely and I'll do nice things for her, because ultimately I want to have sex with her. I'll give her chocolates or I'll give her flowers, and but what's it all leading to? Like that. So this is the consciousness. That's how people think. But Prabhupada was not thinking like that. Prabhupada can see an attractive woman, but he doesn't think like that. But practically everyone else in the world, that's how they think. Is it true or not? We'll look around the world. Mostly it's true. I'm not saying it's 100%, but yeah, mostly it's true. So, Bhagavad Gita teaches us not to see like that, because that means that vision is covered with lust. And Bhagavad Gita says, cover your vision with prem, with love. When you have love, you will not see. True love means love for Krishna and love for everyone. If you see everyone spiritually, you will not see them according to the physical body. So Krishna says you won't see a difference between man and woman. I mean, you say that's a man, that's a woman. It's not like you. But you don't have lust in your heart. It's not like I'm a man, I can enjoy the woman. I'm a woman, I can enjoy the man. But rather they see them spiritually. It's called Pandit Samadharshana. It's called equal vision. That's what Krishna is teaching in the Gita. So mainly that's what Krishna is emphasizing. So that you can apply any time, any place. But to extend your question, because sometimes there are things in the ancient teachings, and then you think, how do I apply them in this world? Right. So then, how to apply the ancient teachings in this world? You need a guru. And the guru will teach you. So Prabhupada, fortunately, he lived in our lifetime. He only left this world in 1977. And his life is heavily documented. You know, there's tons of video footage of him, tons of recording, thousands of hours of his lectures, his books, so many writings and teachings. And people were with him. We've written a very long, over on the back shelf there's a 6-volume biography of his life. Because he had people with him all the time. So people were observing him. So then we see how to, because it actually says in the ancient teachings, a Swami or a holy man should not cross the ocean. But he crossed the ocean. He got on planes, he went over the ocean, he went around the world. So then his associates in India, they criticized him. You should not be doing this, you're a holy man. You should just sit in India. But he said, no, you don't understand. If these teachings are going to spread, I have to cross the ocean. So he taught us how to use, or how to reconcile difficult to understand things from the past to the modern era. So basically the answer is, how do we understand the reconciliation? We need a guru. Like that, so. Does that answer you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, well, say in, I don't know, 200 years, if the world has changed a lot, then there would probably need a new spiritual leader, or like,
Yeah, because Prabhupada set up a system of gurus, but we always refer back to Prabhupada's like a pure guru. Like in Christianity you have Jesus, so you always go back to that point. So the others can make adjustments, but they always have to go back and refer, as long as it doesn't contradict what the pure person has done then. So. And Prabhupada said when he left, because they said to Prabhupada, who will be the successor? Now that you're gone, now who is it? And Prabhupada said, not one person. He said, not one person. He said, many. He said, and we, in our movement, in the Hare Krishna, we have like a board, like that. It's called the GBC, or the governing body. So they make the decisions. And Prabhupada said, not one of you. He said, because we don't know. He said, all together you'll make the right decision. So that's how we run things. And even sometimes, it takes time to recognize what is the perfect decision or the right decision. But, it always happens. They always make the right decision, but sometimes it just takes a bit of time. Whereas Prabhupada could just immediately, because he was, very elevated in consciousness. So, good question. Thank you for coming to Hare Krishna Valley. Please come again. Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime. This is your home. Any other question?
I have something to add on to that.
Yes, sir.
Not a question, just my
comment
on that. Everything in Hinduism, in Vedic stories, is the way it's represented is some X talking to Y. So the X is the guru, Y is the disciple. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is the guru and Arjuna is the disciple. That's one part of the Hindu scripts. The same thing in Mahabharata, which is a part of Bhagavad Gita, as part of Mahabharata. The same thing has happened with Yudhishthira and Bhishma. Bhishma was the one who was killed by Arjuna in the war. And Dharma asked the same questions as Arjuna asked to Krishna. So that becomes another one. And Bhagavatam, which he mentioned, is the son of Arjuna asked questions to another guru, where he is answering the same in a different format. And it's throughout the Hinduism, that's the way it's been. Even a lot of gurus who, Ramakrishna Paramahansa was the guru of Swami Vivekananda. Vivekananda asked questions to his guru. So universally, if you look at everything, if you have time to read everything, you'll see the consistent, the truth in everything. But as I said, Bhagavad Gita is one of the books which has mentioned it in a view as he suggested. So just to something to add on.
Yeah, it's good. Nice one. And just to add a little further to what you're saying also. So how do we recognize who is a guru? Who is qualified to be guru? Because if you go to India, every village has a guru. Isn't it? You're from India?
Yes.
And how many gurus are there in India?
Probably in every suburb one.
Yeah, at least. So many gurus. And everyone says something different like that. So who is the actual guru?
You don't have to find a guru.
I'll tell you who it is. No, actually, you do have to find a guru. You do have to. According to Krishna, you do. Because who is the Adi Guru? Who is the original Guru? That is Krishna. That is God. He is the Guru. He's got Adi, means original. And Krishna says, yes, you do have to have a Guru. And the problem with the modern world, because we're in Kali Yuga, the problem is people don't have gurus. You have a football team. Well, I've asked you, if you meet someone these days, what do you ask? Who do you barrack for? If you meet someone in the old days, you ask them, who is your guru? But these days, if I ask you who is your guru, you don't have one. Right? So this is the defect of the modern world. Right? Because Krishna says actually everyone should have a guru. That is the purpose of human life. Now, who is a qualified guru? Because in India there's so many gurus. And these days around the world there's so many gurus. Anyone can call themselves a guru. The guru, who is someone who teaches Krishna's teachings as they are, without change. That is called parampara. And therefore Prabhupada called his Bhagavad Gita as it is. Right? Not Bhagavad Gita as I like. Or Bhagavad Gita as however you want to write it. No, as it is. It means it did not change from what Krishna originally said. Just like Prabhupada says at the very end of the Gita, near the end there's a very important verse, Savadamam Parijaja. Now it says, Krishna says, or actually Mamana, which is the verse after that. Then Krishna says, always think of me. Krishna, think of me, I'm God, think of me. And then one guru in India, who is not following Krishna, then he says, you don't have to think of Krishna, you have to think of the unborn within Krishna. Right? So why didn't Krishna say that himself? He's God. Why didn't he say, don't think of me, think of the unborn within me? No, he didn't say that. So the guru should not change what God himself says. The guru should just say what God says. Then he is qualified to be guru. Otherwise he has no qualification. So you have to be very careful and make sure you find a guru who is actually following. In ISKCON, in the Hare Krishna movement, our gurus are bona fide because we don't change anything. Anything I'm speaking to you today is not changed. Right? And anything any of the gurus in the Hare Krishna movement speak, we don't change it. It's what Krishna teaches. It's not my interpretation or someone else's. Because what does that? Who cares what I think? I care what Krishna thinks because he created everything. Any other points? Yes, madam.
Just one comment on that. He said, it depends how we see things. If we think about Bhagavad Gita as a book that was spoken 5,000 years ago, we almost think, it's covered on darks, and we don't want to see it's too old, But we can also think, if Krishna just can be talking to us 5 minutes ago, if we recognize that's the potency of the Gita. It just depends how we see it. Even if we think, this is modern society and things have changed so much in the last 200 years, but it's a book that gives us guidance, even if it was spoken 5,000 years ago. But it said at the back, you once read it, that Mahatma Gandhi used to read it every day before starting his daily routine, just to get inspiration and knowledge.
Thank you. Okay, I can take one more question.
I just wanted to know, do you have any sessions?
Yes, madam.
Do you have any sessions where you read this or the book?
Do we have any session where we read the book?
Yeah.
No, we don't read the book. We just keep it on the bookshelf. And
Can I borrow the book?
why would we read the book? So what is the question?
I haven't read the book, so I wanted to read it. So, is there a session where you just
Where we read it together?
Or, yeah, some group sessions or what?
Where do you live?
I live in Thane, maybe.
Yeah, in Tarneet. You know the temple in Melbourne? In
Yes.
Albert Park, the Hare Krishna temple. If you go there,
Yeah.
they can connect you. Around Werribee, the western suburbs, there's many groups that meet every week.
All right.
And they have, easily.
That's it.
In your suburb, actually, they have, I know. So you just contact them, and they will direct you to someone in the western suburbs. I know there's many groups that meet together, and you can study with them and learn like that. And the food is good too. And that's it. Any other points?
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Hare Krishna.